What if I told you everything you think you know about medieval castles is wrong? We all picture cold, gray, drafty ruins, or maybe a Disney fairy tale with a princess in a tower. But the reality? That was a machine. A complex living machine built for comfort, for theater, and for war. The truth isn't just stone. It's a story of shocking color, raging fire, secret listening rooms, and deadly traps hidden in plain sight. We're about to unlock the hidden schematics of these medieval fortresses, and by the end, you'll never see a castle the same way again. Forget the postcard myth of castles as cold gray rock. Picture this instead. A glittering machine of stone and fire, painted in screaming reds and blues, floors tiled like a chessboard, glass windows priced like jewelry, and a great hall long enough to park a jetliner wing. You step inside expecting misery, and you get heat, color, ceremony, and traps. By the time we hit the secret that lives in the walls, you're going to rethink everything. Stay to the end, because the last reveal snaps every piece into place why these places weren't just homes or forts, but ecosystems built to control people, stories, and power. Here's the part no one told you. The outside was war. The inside was theater. Cross the threshold and the mood flips. Medieval elites craved comfort, turning interiors into hot-hued playgrounds. Walls bare today were once saturated with pigments, reds, blues, and yellows. Floors weren't random stone, they were patterned tiles laid out in repeating motifs that caught the firelight. This obsession with comfort extended to warmth. Massive fireplaces swallowed whole trees, and thick wool tapestries acted as movable insulation. The Great Hall was a social furnace, a map of power where your seat defined your status. But this luxurious stage was also a battlefield where even furniture was part of the security system. But all that luxury didn't mean they forgot defense. Beauty hid a blade. Elegant arched windows, set high to shrug off arrows. Decorative carvings, sometimes masks for structural tricks to funnel attackers. Even the dinner seating was a security system. Loyal advisors sat with backs to the wall, safe from a sudden knife, while visitors were placed where eyes could watch. If that feels paranoid, remember, in a world without CCTV, the layout of furniture was your threat model. If you've ever rearranged a room to see the door from the couch, you get medieval risk management. This paranoia was built right into the bones of the castle, turning simple transit into a deadly obstacle course. This fusion of design and defense is clearest when you move from the Great Hall into the towers. You stop being a guest and start being a potential threat, and the architecture reacts accordingly. Which brings us to the stairs. Ever felt off balance on a castle's spiral staircase? That wasn't clumsy architecture, it was combat math. Most twist clockwise going up. A right-handed attacker climbing has their sword hand cramped by the central pillar. Their swing is crowded. They're fighting uphill in a space tighter than a phone booth. The defender coming down has the wide curve, their right arm free, and the high ground advantage. Home team. It gets subtler. Builders often varied the step height just a little. Residents knew the rhythm. Intruders didn't. In the dark, panic plus an uneven step equals a fast trip down. If you visit Conwy Castle, look at the worn treads. That's physics stamped into stone. This clockwise design was the default, but sources suggest some castles had a southpaw counterclockwise stair for their left-handed defenders. The stairs were weapons disguised as architecture. The walls weren't just walls either. When you hear 1-2-foot thick walls, don't just think sturdy. Think storage. Those fat walls could hide entire rooms. Entrances were invisible, a concealed panel, a specific stone, a torch bracket you tugged like a lever. Hidden passages linked private chambers to kitchens or escape gates. They were used for smuggling food during sieges or hiding valuables. Some secrecy was harsh. Oubliettes, forget-me-pits under trapdoors, were small cells where a problem could vanish from official memory. This wasn't haunted house drama, it was risk management. We are still finding these secret spaces today with modern technology, proving the stone still holds its secrets. But the walls weren't just hiding rooms. They were designed to carry sound, turning the castle into a surveillance system. Modern surveys still find voids in solid walls. Whisper galleries weren't marketing fluff. Stone curves steer sound like plumbing. A whisper on one side of a room could arrive crisp and clear on the other. builders learned to use that. Think of it as the first office intercom. Vents between rooms or gaps in the walls carried conversations. At Bodiam, a lord could hear you long before you reached his table. At Carisbrooke, passages linked important rooms with acoustic shortcuts. And once you know it's there, you can weaponize it, run a fountain for white noise, or stage a private chat you knew would be overheard. This level of granular control was total. But there was one biological necessity that defied elegant control and created one of the castle's biggest vulnerabilities: the toilet. Let's pull a lever and drop into a different kind of secret: the garderobe, the medieval toilet. Brace yourself. These were stone closets jutting off outer walls, with a seat over a vertical chute. Gravity did the work, straight into a pit or moat. No toilet paper, options ranged from cloth to moss to the left hand. Etiquette was simple: left hand for cleaning, right hand for eating. Some castles tried to manage the smell by placing them on the windy side. Here's the curveball. Garderobe means guard the robe, as people stored expensive garments there, believing the smell repelled moths. But this system wasn't just gross, it was a liability. In sieges, attackers sometimes tried climbing up the waste chutes to get in. Imagine wanting a win so badly you volunteer for the sewer route. That's not legend, it's recorded. So, while attackers were literally trying to crawl up the castle's backside, the defenders were pouring all their best tech into protecting the front door.